down and pen another verse. Music is my therapy.
Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to this, your Monday night F1 pit stop. I'm the man that presses the buttons and introduces the main people to talk about F1, the Gov. Looking forward to hearing what the two contributors have to say today. Before I go any further, if you're watching live, do get involved via the live chat option. Get your comments as they come to you, as you think of them, as you hear them, into the live chat. If you hear anything that you disagree with, let us know. Anything you agree with, let us know. It's about opinions, this platform. We want to hear yours. If you're watching back on catch up, and I know many of you do, and thank you for all the views from last week's show, leave a comment. We'd love to read them. We'd love to respond back to them. And of course, you can hear this on all good audio platforms. Let's bring him in. Not a rookie anymore. It is, of course, nearly completing his second season around the F1 Monday night track. Mr. Stephen Thompson, how you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Not too bad. Not too bad. A week off this week, as always. How did we feel the Sunday?
Sunday, yeah, it was all right. I spent most of it gaming with one of my friends, so that was a decent way to spend the Sunday off. But
yes,
yeah,
that was good.
Some bad news towards the end of it, but
you didn't decide to venture down to Portman Road?
No. You didn't.
Too cold. Miss much. You didn't. No. Too cold. Yeah, no, you missed precisely nothing. What game were you playing at the weekend?
It was a bit Sea of Thieves the weekend. They had a double reputation event, so we did some of that.
You do love a good bit of Sea of Thieves.
I do like a bit of Sea of Thieves.
Any motorsport on the TV at all, or did you avoid anything like that at all this
No,
weekend?
I avoided motorsport this weekend until obviously we heard that news. But yeah, apart from that, it wasn't on the TV. Didn't play the games, nothing like that. So stay clear of it.
Okay, all right. So lots to, well, more than we anticipated. Obviously, looking at this show last week, on the sort of the agenda tonight, we've obviously got the very sad news that Sir Frank Williams passes away, age 79. We're going to get your thoughts and Neil's thoughts on that. We've got Will Verstappen win the title in Jeddah. That's a big one. Ferrari almost have third place in the bag, and what can we expect from Jeddah? They're the four things on the list tonight. I know, being a Williams fan, that the first one is very close to your heart, and close to a lot of Formula One fans' hearts. So as we prepare ourselves to discuss that, let's bring in the other contributor, Mr. Positivity, Neil Moles.
Wake up to the, wow. Wake up to the money, turn me right on. You look like you got dressed with no lights on. A Superman that spin like a cyclone. Fit check spin like a cyclone. Wake up to the money, turn me right on.
Yeah, but we're crap. We're not going to dominate any team.
Welcome in,
and
Mr. Moles.
We didn't on Sunday either, did we?
We didn't again. No, I know we were both there, freezing our proverbials off. How was your weekend, Neil?
Good.
Not as good as Steve.
Quite busy.
In the warm, playing Sea of Thieves. Very quickly, what were your thoughts on town yesterday, having sat there for 90 minutes, but not sat there for a previous number of weeks?
Not a lot has changed, if anything. Considering the quality we are playing against, we're actually worse. But it was nice to see a little bit of quality come out from Selena. That was the highlight of the game.
It was. Have you seen that goal, Steve?
Yeah, it was absolutely cracking, wasn't it? Amazing goal.
Good, wasn't it? It was good. It was really good. What isn't good, though, is the sad news, obviously, of the passing of Sir Frank Williams. Steve, lead us off on that one, my man, I suppose. As the Williams fan, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. 79 years old. Yeah, he was a figure like no other in Formula One, really. His team became one of the most successful in the sport. It was his second attempt at running a team, because the original one was just called Frank Williams Racing Cars. And they,
really?
Yeah, he ended up selling the team to Walter Wolf, and it became Wolf Racing, or Wolf. Had another go at setting up this team, and apparently the early years, it was quite severe with money. They were so bad. There's always a story about his wife sent him out to get fish and chips one night, and he came back with spark plugs, which is amazing. but that was basically just Frank. He was a racer, sort of through and through, and he had this devastating accident in the 80s, which left him a tetraplegic. And
it was after pre-season testing, wasn't it?
Yeah, he crashed his car in France on the way back from the circuit, broke his neck, spent the rest of his life confined to a wheelchair. But he didn't let that get him down. He continued to build Williams, and they became sort of the dominant force in the 80s and the 90s. Well, one of the dominant forces. Obviously, he had McLaren as well at one point. And they became one of the most successful teams. And obviously, the past few years haven't been brilliant for Williams, but he was still always there. And although he was sort of less and less at the circuits, obviously, as he got older, and eventually he sold the team last year to Doralton. Which was a shame, but I think it was for the best for the team to keep the team going. But yeah, that was quite a shock. Yeah, it's he's basically one of the guys I admire the most in Formula One.
Was there any news on how he passed or anything? Was it?
No, he was admitted to hospital a couple of days ago and just passed in hospital.
Okay.
But yeah, he was sort of one of the figures I looked up to most in Formula One, and sort of one of the biggest inspirations in Formula One. That he can do what he did despite considerable adversity. And the cars. I just fell in love with the cars. When I first started watching F1, it was the BMW Williams, and they were absolutely gorgeous. And then obviously I found out, and I read more into the team, and obviously found out about Frank, and just endless admiration for him.
Yeah, he's one of those where if anyone who's watched for X amount of time, they will recognise his face and how much he's been in the sport.
Yeah. Reading the articles I've read over the course of the day today, that's what really jumps out, and the love and the warmth from across the sport. A real sporting icon, powerhouse, figurehead, or whichever term you want to try and put to it, and it'll be a big loss to the F1 world. Is what I'm taking from it, Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been nice to see the sort of the outpouring of condolences and well wishes and memories that everyone has come out with. Obviously, former drivers have done it, pundits, commentators, team bosses, people around motorsport, around the sporting world, not just Formula One. A lot of former drivers that won championships with Williams have had a lot of good words to say, and even those who never drove for him or just worked alongside him or were rivals with him at one point, like Ron Dennis and McLaren. When those two teams are sort of the giants of the sport, and it's been lovely to see sort of the support and the admiration that people continue to have for him, and probably always will have for him, because he's always going to be that figure, one of the most recognisable and important figures, I think, in Formula One.
Yeah, we've got obviously words from Toto Wolff. We've got, if there was one man who stood for perseverance, resilience, and stamina, it was Sir Frank. I'm incredibly grateful and proud to have had the chance to work with him and been a small part of his journey. Many of us at Mercedes will continue to see him as a great inspiration. Rest in peace, Sir Frank. The thought of myself and the team, of his family and friends at Williams. Damon Hill said Frank had a passion for cars, for racing. There was nothing else he was really interested in doing. He was just remarkable in every respect. And Lewis Hamilton obviously took social media, as I'm sure many of you've seen, and says Sir Frank Williams, one of the kindest people I had the pleasure of meeting in the sport. What he achieved is something truly special. Until his last days, I know he remained a racer and a fighter at heart. His legacy will live on forever. And obviously the F1 world champions under Frank, got Alan Jones, Rosberg, Mansell, Prost, Hill, and Villeneuve. Can you guess the one I missed out there? Because I can't quite decide how I'm going to pronounce that.
Go through him again.
Alan Jones, Kiki Rosberg. Is it Nelson Piquet?
Nelson Piquet, yeah.
Nigel Mansell, Alan Prost, I do apologise. Damon Hill and Jacques Villeneuve. Is that right?
Yeah. That's all of them, isn't it? 7 drivers champions.
That is. What a legacy, Neil. 7 drivers, and for a new fan like myself, Williams, I'm not used to that. That's a hell of a legacy to leave, isn't it?
Yeah, they were a team that were the underdog, really. They didn't have a lot of budget to run on, and he just made the most of what he did have. And through the 80s and a little bit in the 90s, they had great success.
Is there something, Steve, that the sport can do and this is going to sound like a really rookie question, so apologies to both of you first of all, and to the more experienced watchers that are F1 fans. But like a cup or a trophy or a tournament or something that they could bring in, maybe a position on the grid. I don't know, something that maybe carries his name and pays honour to the legacy, to the work, and to the great man. Is that ever something that F1 does? How do they honour their greats?
It's they don't really. I don't know. They've had trophies and things named after them in the past. You had the One Man World Fangio Trophy that Bottas won, I think, for that pole position a few weeks back. I don't know though. I think it's up to. I think the teams will do their own thing. No doubt Williams will obviously do something this weekend, or Formula One as a whole will. I don't know. It's a tricky one, really. It's just that they've had so many greats over the years. You can't honour them all the time, and they'll continue to have greats.
Where was his hometown? Do we know where he was born?
Good question.
I can find that information out. While you explain your thinking here, Neil.
Well, towns sometimes if there's a great person that was from there, they like to commemorate them and either do a statue or name something or have something involving them.
Okay. South Shields.
Okay. I don't actually know where that is. That's
Okay,
probably a rookie thing to say,
No,
but
it's Northern England. South Shields is a coastal town in the mouth of the River Tyne, about 3.7 miles north downstream from Newcastle upon Tyne. So it's obviously northeast. So, if you don't know where it is, I mean, I knew where South Shields, or have heard of it, certainly. But yeah, good idea in regards to there. Final word then, Steve. I'll leave it to you as the Williams fan. Final word before we move on to Verstappen.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, it's lovely to see the amount of support that people have shown. And obviously, it's a huge loss to Formula One and to the sporting world. And obviously, I think everyone's thoughts are with the Williams family and friends and the team. But his legacy is one that's not going to be eradicated. It's going to continue for many, many decades in Formula One. And as long as that team bearing his name is on the grid, then we'll continue to see him around. I think with that team.
And when you say that, that's why I'm sort of asked the question about what that could they do they. Because when you say that's not going to be eradicated or it's not going to be changed or surpassed, that's a special kind of person.
Yeah. I think there was always maybe a slight concern when Williams was sold last year to Doralton. There was maybe a little bit of concern as to whether they would change the team name or not, whether the Williams name would remain. And they said, no, the name is staying because that is such an integral part of Formula One and it's such an important team in the sport. I know obviously the past few years have been painful to watch as a Williams fan. But, the love their fans have for that team and have for Frank is second to none. So it's great that name is going to stay on the grid for many, many years.
Absolutely. Right, Neil. Jeddah, up next. Will Verstappen take the title in Jeddah? What do you think? Tell me what are your thoughts on that one?
I think the momentum's slightly against him, but he's a fighter. And I dare say we'll see some elbows out. Okay,
right. Might see some elbows out, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot riding on it. It's unlikely he'll win the title, but you never know. There's certain permutations, certain things that need to happen for him to win the title, obviously, which are quite unlikely because they involve Hamilton finishing about 6th or lower when he's got that absolute rocket of a car. That's quite unlikely. I think he's more likely to DNF for any reason than he is to finish 6th or lower. And I'm in two minds. On the one hand, I want to see it go down to the wire in Abu Dhabi. On the other hand, as I've always been more Max than Lewis to win this, I want to see Max wrap it up in Jeddah. But for the spectacle, it would be great to see it go down to the wire. Last lap, Abu Dhabi. A fight for those two. Imagine if they went into Abu Dhabi on equal points. That'd be amazing.
Big quality.
That would be just incredible.
It's moments like these that you realise how on the knife edge this sport can be. With the fact that if anything happens to either, especially if anything happens to Lewis, gets a little tag, if he gets caught up in anything, if he needs another penalty for an engine replacement, anything that drops him down and puts him in harm's way, any touch on his tyres to give him a puncture, and that's his championship pretty much done.
This is incredible. We haven't had a race decided on the final, or sorry, a title decided on the final race, or got this close to the end of the season since 2016, which is Hamilton-Rosberg. That was the final race, obviously. But I forget what it's like to have a championship fight where you get to a round where someone could win it and actually be this genuinely excited, because usually it's just Hamilton has run away with the title, as he has done for the past few years. Whereas this, he's got a genuine challenge. And although that car is insanely quick right now, and the momentum is with Mercedes and Hamilton, you absolutely, just said it right there, Neil. If he gets just one thing, because we've never been to this circuit, so we don't know what to expect. The drivers don't know what to expect on the first lap. Usually they know what to expect roughly because they go to the circuits. They've been there for years. With this one, you don't really know. I mean, it's all well and good running a simulator on it, but then you get 20 cars on it, and it's a lot different. If he gets a little tag or a little mechanical issue, a bit of contact at turn one, whatever it may be, that could be, and we don't know how easy it is to overtake at Jeddah. That could be it. It could be good.
It's going to be interesting. But also, what Neil just said there, Steve, is also, it could be decided by luck. If a tyre blows or something, how disappointing would it be to see that type of finish? Because it is a tightrope and it is a nice edge.
I mean, although Verstappen will already be very happy if that does happen. So if Hamilton gets a blowout and he drops way down the grid, Hamilton will obviously love that. Verstappen will obviously love that. Verstappen fans will love it. But I want to see it decided on the track. I want to see the drivers fighting wheel to wheel, less Silverstone and Monza, and more other great battles we've had this year. And you do get F1 titles that are decided by luck. I think Mansell lost the title once in the Williams when his tyre blew, and things like that. And there was people saying that obviously Hamilton, he had so many mechanical issues in 2016 that really sort of stopped him having a serious go at Rosberg towards the end. But I couldn't help but feel a little bit robbed, really, because we've had this amazing season, and if it then just does come down to like a tyre blowout or a mechanical DNF or something, just bad luck, you'd sort of feel like, we had all that, and we didn't get a proper showdown.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be go on, Neil.
There were some drivers that were asked the same question, who they would like to win, and the majority of them were pretty much just saying what Steve did, and they just want a good battle and to see it done on track. They don't want it, a cheap one either way.
What's the gut feeling from you, Steve? Is it going to be, you've had to sort of demand the answer out of you?
What, for this weekend? Gut feeling, it's going to go down to Abu Dhabi. I can see Verstappen winning it. You can't keep him and Red Bull down for long. But Hamilton's going to be right behind him. It's going to be first and second, but I'm going to say it's going to be Verstappen from Hamilton. Because although this track looks like it could be a Mercedes track, we don't know. We've had so many tracks like that.
Neil?
I think overall it will actually come down to that extra points that you get for faster laps and things, because Red Bull seem so good at mopping those up.
That's it. I mean, you wonder how different could this season have been had things not happened. Had Verstappen not had that blowout in Baku, and then had Hamilton not caught that switch at the restart in Baku and gone spearing off at turn one, had they not crashed at Silverstone, had they not crashed in Monza, had they not had penalties and things, that fastest lap point, it could make all the difference. And Red Bull, like you say, Red Bull have been the stronger out of the two teams at placing drivers where they need to get that fastest lap. Like Qatar, they were so far behind Mercedes that we'll just bring Verstappen in, get softs on, and go for it. We'll get fastest lap no matter what. So
it's going to be interesting. Looking forward to it. Ferrari, third place. Have they sewed it up, Neil?
I believe so. I think it's a long shot for anything else to happen. What do you believe, Steve? As a bit more of a neutral?
I love them both. Obviously, as a Williams fan, I'm just hoping that Williams can keep ahead of Alfa Romeo for the final two races. Every time I see Kimi getting the points, I think, I want Kimi to score points, but then it's more points for Alfa. I don't want that. But yeah, Ferrari, McLaren, I want to see it again decided in Abu Dhabi, but I think Ferrari have had a lot of momentum recently. McLaren seems to have stalled a little bit. Ricciardo had a disappointing race. Apparently, he was in fuel saving mode from lap 1 in Qatar. He had a little thing on his steering wheel to tell him to go into fuel saving mode, and he had to do that straight away, which was weird. I think that's a battle that sort of really fizzled out, isn't it? It was great. I mean, 1 week it was Ferrari, then it was McLaren, and it's petered out a little bit now.
That whole steering wheel thing sounds a little bit of an scapegoat to me. Yeah,
it does make you wonder, but because he was just so far off. It's not like it was just off the pace in the race, was it? He was out in Q2. Was it Q1? He was out quite early. I think it was Q2.
Yeah.
And
I think more Q2, but yeah, it wasn't good.
Certainly quite a way down compared to where you'd expect him to be and where you want him to be right now with Ferrari. Sainz has done so well in that car. Leclerc has just had a very Leclerc season. He'll turn up and he'll do a nice job, and then you think, oh, okay, and then he'll do the same thing, and he always goes under the radar. But next year, I think
I'd love to see him in a decent car next year.
Yeah, he had one in 2019, and he was very good. He absolutely handed it to Vettel in 2019.
Because I think if you could get another driver into that title race, that could be really interesting. Get a 3. It makes it all the more important at the top end of that grid. I'm interested to hear before the issues there, Neil, that you felt your own team weren't going to finish third.
No. For whatever reason, Ferrari have hooked it up where McLaren have fallen to the wayside a little bit. I think they have the gap to the top 2 has increased, hasn't it? So McLaren aren't as close as they were.
I think sort of drifting a little bit, going back to what you said about Charles having a great car. Obviously, you've still got Lewis at the top, like at the very top of the sport, even at his age. But you've got the next couple of years, you've got the potential to have people like George Russell, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, all fighting in potentially race-winning, title-winning cars. I think that is incredible. You've got this young breed of talent coming through, and even you got people like Mick Schumacher, who give it a couple of years could be fighting up there as well. We don't know obviously what Guan Yu Zhou is going to do, Mazepin, but you've got people, maybe Carlos Sainz. I know he always seems to go a bit under the radar, but I just think it's brilliant. We've got this sort of young generation of racers, especially the main 3, I think, of Verstappen, Leclerc, Russell, who 2022, you don't know, well, the next couple of years certainly, could then be fighting for that top step. And I think that's awesome. And then obviously you've got the likes of Fernando, who can still do it on the right weekend. You've got Lewis, obviously, who's still there as well. Get Seb a good car. I think he'll be back near the top. Not as much maybe as Lewis or Fernando, but
for me, you've got
a good group of talent on that grid right now.
You've got like when Schumacher was on the scene and he was trying to prove himself against Senna, and then like Alonso against Schumacher. You've got these youngsters, and you've got Lewis. Lewis is now the elder statesman of the sport, and he's going to have to try and keep his elbows out to show that he's still the best.
It's so weird because I still, in my head, I still think of Lewis and Vettel as like the young kids of the sport, because I remember watching it when they first came into it, but 2006, 2007, and they were young, early 20s, sort of fresh-faced youths coming in and lighting it up, and I just sort of think, bloody hell, they're mid-30s now. It's crazy. And you've got all these again. It's like when Schumacher came into it, early 20s, and you had the likes of Piquet and Mansell still on the grid, and those sort of drivers there, Senna, Prost, and then Schumacher's suddenly the young pretender, and then he became the old statesman, and he had young Fernando trying to beat him off his perch, and then Lewis, obviously, with people like Fernando and Lewis as a young kid, and now he's like one of the oldest ones on the grid, and it's just strange because you've now got in about 10 years' time, it will be Russell is the old statesman, and you have someone else trying to knock him off his perch, hopefully.
Christ, yeah. That will really make us feel old if we sit here on a Monday night.
And I'll still think Russell's one of the kids.
Yes, well, he will be to us, because we'll be growing with him, and who knows what the future holds for him. This weekend is Jeddah, or the weekend coming at the end of this week. What do we think Obviously, you mentioned the top positions there. Are we expecting a big race, a fun race, Neil? Have you seen the track yet?
I haven't done my homework, so I'm going into this blind. I'll end up seeing a little bit of practice and find out what goes on from there.
As somebody who's seen the track, Steve, what would you tell Neil he can look forward to? Do you think?
It's a strange layout. Essentially, it's got 2 hairpins at either end and then some twiddly bits in the middle. I'm sure it is more technical than that. That wasn't just what they wanted. But it's looking at the sort of that. There's some bits on there where you think, oh, that's a Mercedes bit, and then there's some bits where you think Red Bull could dominate it. Like the first sector, it's a bit tighter. I'm sort of trying to think of a circuit I can relate it to. One of it is quite sort of Maggots-Beckett's complex at Silverstone, that sort of left-right sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems a very fast-flowing circuit, which on paper you would look at the Mercedes and think that could be their turf, really. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Although I've seen the layout, we're going into it blind. We don't really know what we can expect. I mean, you could have McLaren or Ferrari turn up and do a job. I doubt it, but there could be the potential for teams to shock and to surprise. Some people could have done more homework than others. I don't want to think of the amount of homework teams are doing for this, but I think it is going to be close between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. Mercedes are probably just going to edge it.
Do you think Mercedes are going to edge it, Neil?
If it's a faster, less twisty track, then yeah, I think it's Mercedes to take. But having not really seen it, and even though I said, see a little bit of practice, there'll be sandbagging and the usual shenanigans going on. So,
of course, Mercedes will be 3 seconds off the pace in FP1 and FP2, and absolutely just laugh themselves silly because they think that everyone's falling for it, and then they'll turn up on Saturday and just dominate everything, and then run away on Sunday, apart from Valtteri. So,
get caught in midfield.
Yeah.
Midfield battle. Anything to look forward to from this race, Steve?
The Ferrari McLaren thing is going to be good to keep an eye on. Alpine, where they go as well with them and AlphaTauri. So we're very fortunate. Although the top 2 teams have really broken away, you've still got this battle going on, sort of a 5th and 6th between Alpha, Tauri, Alpine, those sort of teams. And hopefully Williams can sneak a point or 2, but again, we don't know.
Who knows?
I like that comment from Ben Moore, by the way. Russell to get at least 5 wins. I want the championship for Russell next year. This time next year, I want him crowned champion.
Ben Moore would love for McLaren to give Danny Rick a decent car, as does Danny Ricciardo, and Russell to get at least 5 wins next year. Yeah, maybe so. We'll jump into that a little bit more in the summer as we do some content through the off season, the F1 off season, heading towards next year, what we can expect from Russell in the new car, etc. But yeah, so Jeddah next Sunday coming. They can find us same time, same place. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yep, 7:15 every Monday. We'll be reviewing I don't know what it's going to go down as. Is it the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix, the Jeddah Grand Prix? I don't know what the little hashtag is yet for it, but we shall soon find out.
It's down as Saudi Arabia in my in my diary.
So this time next week, we could be congratulating Max Verstappen on winning his first ever title.
I don't think we will be though.
I wouldn't
bet against the same people that done the PR for Baku, it could go down as the European.
Yeah, true. Daft was that? That was silly.
True. Well, we'll wait and see. Either way, we're back here again next week. Looking forward to it. But until then, Steve, I guess you better sign us out on this off week.
Yeah, thanks very much for watching. Love the comment, Ben Moore. Really good. And we shall see you all again 7:15. And I think I'll go and raise a glass to Sir Frank Williams.
I know it's never too late to sit down.